Hey, YouTube friends. 2 years ago, I predicted this was going to happen. And if you check back on some of my older videos, you'll see it. And it finally did happen, and it sort of snuck up on me. So, but I'm not really surprised. So for quite a while now, you know that the Otopharynx tetrastigma has been the tank boss here, and nobody has messed with him. He's been pretty much in charge and had the run of the tank. But a while back, I predicted that when you have a fish like this in with Nimbochromis, which are traditionally a much more aggressive fish, I knew that eventually the tables would get turned on this guy. Well, the other night, my wife heard some splashing in the tank, and by the morning, what we discovered was that the tables had turned. The tetrastigma was essentially beat up by the polystigma, and actually the Taiwan reef actually was even involved in the incident, getting a few licks in on the tetrastigma. The Taiwan reef was the tank boss for quite a while until he was bumped by the tetrastigma, who has been the tank boss in the 135 for quite a while now. But as you can see, in the dark, and you would think that when the lights are out, they would be a little more mellow. That was not the case. In the dark, he got pretty beat up. They started to beat up the John Stoney as well. They actually, when the lights came on, I noticed they started to chase the John Stoney, especially after I removed the tetrastigma. So I immediately removed the John Stoney and brought him over to the 100-gallon as well. So now both the tetrastigma and the John Stoney are here in the 100-gallon. They seem to be doing okay. The beating that the tetrastigma took was, you can see, it was pretty severe. Not the worst I've seen. I mean, it's not like his tail is gone or anything like that, but he took some pretty good hits on the side and is now healing. Of course, when I first looked at him, my first thought was that the Ochart bacteria had come back again, but he doesn't have the classic signs, the particular fin damage, the saddle, things that are the trademarks of the Ochart. So I knew in this case, I really did have a case of severe aggression, and so I still am treating him with some antibiotic, and just to make sure he doesn't become sick, but because he does have some wounds that are exposed, and those, of course, will make him susceptible to anything that might be floating around. So it's pretty normal, in the cichlid world for these kinds of things to occur. Fish become older, they become weaker. The other fish sense it, and they make their move, especially if they're very territorial or of a particular type of fish that is particularly aggressive, like the Nimbochromis. So I was pretty sure this was going to happen at some point. So my beautiful tetrastigma is now on the mend, and I'm hoping that he does well now that he's been moved over to this tank. John Stoney is thriving, no real damage, eating, active, and the tetrastigma is also very active in eating and even chasing, even chasing other fish. So I think that they're both going to hopefully end up in good shape and adapt well here in the 100-gallon. But his time in the 135 is over, and I'll probably end up bringing over the Z-Rock as well, and really at some point just leave that 135 as a complete Nimbochromis tank. Actually, I'll have the hawk in there, and I'll probably bring over the when he gets bigger, I'll probably bring the Malawi gar over to the 135 as well. So there you have it. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. And I also want to give you a special shout out because I noticed a couple years ago I was celebrating 100 subscribers. That was a big milestone. I was very happy about it. And now I notice that I think I just went over about 7,200 subscribers. So I want to thank all of you. You watching this right now, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting the channel through all the adventure and all the ups and downs. And you're very appreciated, okay? So thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for the support of the channel, for those of you who share the channel on other platforms. And be sure to stop by the Facebook group, ben.o.cichlid. You'll see it up here. And also the Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at ben.o.cichlid. I post a lot of photos of the fish and things that are going on there. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.